Finland is the world's happiest country for the 8th year in a row. Experts believe the Finns' proximity to nature and access to a strong welfare system help explain its continued top place in the UN-sponsored World Happiness Report. Denmark came in second, Costa Rica and Mexico entered the top 10 for the first time, with strong family bonds cited as a factor. This year, the authors focus especially on caring and sharing, saying these are bigger factors in happiness than earning a high salary. And we can speak now to Dr. Michael Plant, a global happiness science researcher and co-author of the new World Happiness Report. Dr. Plant, thank you so much for joining us. How do you actually measure, quantify happiness?
Well, there's a few ways that it gets done, but what the World Happiness Report uses is a measure of life satisfaction called the Cantrell ladder. You give someone 10 steps and you say which step are you on, where the top step is your best life and the bottom step is your worst life.
Well, the Finns and the Nordic countries seem to be living a pretty good life. We mentioned nature, access to good resources, services are a factor there. But how do you explain why Finland, for example, has been at the top for so many years now?
Well, so the World Happiness Report it doesn't just produce the rankings, it also digs into them. And like you said, this year it's doing a new set of research. There are 6 factors which are found to explain most of the difference between countries' well-being. So there's GDP, of course, but there's also life expectancy, having someone to count on, a sense of freedom, generosity, and finally perceptions of corruption. And basically the Finns do quite well on all of these things. It's a society where people feel looked after, they feel safe, and these factors are coming together to help Finland stay at the top of the rankings.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that one of the founding editors of the report, John Halliwell, said that, quote, people are much happier living where they think people care about each other. I mean, this is a question of social trust and social cohesion. How do you foster that in a country where you don't have it in as high a number, for example, as in Finland?
Well, I mean, there's things that individuals can do, and one of the things that comes out of this year's World Happiness Report is on sharing meals together and looking out for strangers. And there's also reports of the differences between how much people think others can be trusted and how much they are. So if you drop a wallet, you're about twice as likely to have someone hand it back to you than you expect. So the story here is that we should make more effort to kind of integrate other people into our lives, to eat meals with them, and also we can probably trust other people more than we expect. And if we do that, then we can get a virtuous cycle moving.
We mentioned that family bonds and also actually living with more people under the same roof, that also boosts happiness. We are, however, on our phones often. We're most socially isolated than we've been, at least in the Western world in the past. So what can we do about that?
What can we do to be less socialized? Well, we can reach out to other people. I think a missing part of the discussion on happiness is altruism. Not asking what can we do for the world, but what can the world do for us. So you can volunteer. You can help others in distress, look out for your friends, and also you can give to charity. And that's what my chapter in the chapter of me and my team in the World Happiness Report focuses on. We do the first ever global analysis of how much happiness charities create with your money, and we find there are enormous differences. This is the first time this research has been done. It's only been going the last 5 years, happiness cost effectiveness. And so if the least cost-effective charity was as tall as a person, we find the most cost-effective charity would be about a mile high or 5 times the height of the Shard. So if you want to do something for yourself and for the world, then giving to charity is one strong option.
Yeah, that was my next question. It's a really interesting aspect of this report. Is it simply the act of giving and sharing with other people that spurs that happiness linked to charity?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, humans are a very social species. I mean, if you think, what do we do when people are naughty? We put them in jail. And if they're really naughty, we put them in solitary confinement. I mean, that's the worst punishment that we inflict on people. We are intensely social. That's how Mother Nature built us. It's how we continue to be. And so in the pursuit of happiness, we shouldn't focus too much on the individual. It's really our connections with others, which are a major underappreciated driver of our own well-being. So if you want to make yourself happier, do things for other people.
And Dr. Plant, before I let you go, the UK where you are and the US where I am are not particularly high up on that list. Is it just a lack of all of these things, or is there something driving that unhappiness?
Well, so in the in the UK, so the actually for both countries, they've gone down the ranking number, but actually life satisfaction hasn't changed that much. It's
Mm.
actually more of a story of other countries coming up. So Central and Eastern Europe, particularly, young people are getting much happier. Not something we sort of expect, but actually that is really happening, and that's driving up the rankings for other countries. So the US has had about twice the size of the fall that the UK has, and in both cases, it's decreases in generosity, which seem to be explaining that for both countries. And then for the US, it's also a breakdown in trust. So as I've been indicating, there's a kind of a common story here.
Yeah.
We can make ourselves and our countries happier if we do our bit to help others out.
Okay, really interesting research. Dr. Plant, thank you so much for joining us tonight on BBC
Thank you.
News.